Shit.
We've been sitting in this storm, squall, I don't know, since about 2 AM, so that's about 4 or 5 hours now. It's been heaps of rain, lightning, thunder, and the wind's been a little bit strong at times, you're getting some gusts, but not too bad. But it's just pouring down. Hectic. So there's been lots of lightning really close to us, so we've just set the jib up and we've been sitting inside a bit too, just worried about the lightning hitting us, but so far so good.
We ran inside for coffee.
Yeah, we've taken shelter inside. Hectic out there.
It's very scary. We got up to 30 knots then. Lucky we can keep it downwind with the autopilot inside.
We're doing circles with the hydrophone before, so we had to put it on autopilot instead.
It was just keeping us downwind but going round and round in the storm.
Not going anywhere.
We'll switch to the autopilot. We've caught ourselves about 40-50 litres of water in the squall last night and this morning. We filled up 2 buckets. Gonna top up all the drinking water so we don't use what's in the tank. We've got 25 more days on the Pacific. This was our little rainwater catcher. Little homemade job with a hose on the end of the bin me, and straight into these 2 big buckets. We've managed to fill them both. It's a little plastic bit of angle that we've zip tied in to the bin me top, and as the water comes off, catches in there, straight down into the bucket sitting at my feet. Ripper. Beauty. Ew. So where are we at?
In between Panama and Galapagos.
What day is it?
It's day 4. Done 500 something miles.
557.
557.
Yeah.
And we've got about 324 miles to go to the bottom of Galapagos. But we're not sure if we're going to go to the south or the north or cut straight through it yet. See how much wind we get.
We'll take a vote.
Yeah. What do you vote?
Straight through the middle.
Straight through the middle, Robert.
Hope they don't confiscate Mankey.
Yeah. Jeez. You bit of a damper on the trip.
So we've been motoring for the last 24 hours with all the thunderstorms and squalls that have been kind of lingering around us. But we've turned the engine off this afternoon and we have about 10 knots apparent.
There's about 6 knots of true wind.
6 knots of true wind on about 60 degrees. So we got the full main and the full Genoa out and we're making pretty good ground, but 6.5, 5.5, 6 now. So that's pretty good.
So it's day 5 since leaving Las Perlas Islands, Panama, and we are about 280 miles off Wolf Island in the Galapagos. We're going to pass across the north of the Galapagos to stay in the good current, and we're hoping to stop there for a bit of a swim. We've been tracking kind of southwest from Panama in some good north wind. And yeah, the last 24 hours we've just been under full sail, trying to get some out of this light southwest wind, and we've just decided to take the northern route. We were going to pass to the south of the islands, but the wind's looking a little bit strong from the southwest to do that, so we're getting a better angle to head north. We'll go around Wolf Island and then across the equator after that. So up until this point we've been on a southwest course from Panama, but looking at the weather and the currents, we have chosen to go to the north of Galapagos instead of coming to the south, mostly because we don't want to be beating up wind in this southeasterly, and the currents look rather favourable up here in the same distance. You can see our current routing here, so as long as we're heading like westbound from our current position towards Wolf Island, we stay in good current, and we plan to just do a long pass here in light wind back down to a waypoint we've set for the trades. So it's pretty light at the moment, but we're forecasted to almost have no wind, but we're lucky at the moment. We've got about 13 knots on the beam and we're making really good speed, so we're just going to keep going as long as we can and try and conserve our fuel so we don't motor too much more. So after we get to Wolf Island, we're looking at a couple of days of very light kind of doldrum as we cross the equator, but the north option allows us to keep this wind on the beam. We should be able to keep the apparent wind up and get a little bit more distance. Rather than going south, we'd have this wind behind us and kind of struggle a little bit flopping around in the swell. So that was our choice. I guess time will tell if it was the right one, otherwise we'll be floating around waiting for the wind.
Another day in the life of Rob and his dear pet slash towel, Mankey.
Where is he?
He's just behind you. You're not keeping an eye on him.
Yeah.
Sitting right there, the back.
He sneaks off every now and then.
He looks pretty happy back there actually, getting a bit of wind.
So you can relax today as long as Mankey's happy.
Yeah.
What do you have here?
It's a little attempt for a sourdough bread.
It looks awesome.
I got this off Missy on Makushla. She gave me this before we left, a little sourdough starter.
Yeah.
So she just told me to feed it every now and then when it gets hungry to keep it alive.
So you use the starter.
So I use the starter and then it proves for a long time, and then
You use it instead of
yeast, like active yeast, you use sourdough.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Is this the first good one?
I think so. Looks alright. It's hard to do it without a proper Dutch oven. So it's been 7 days today since we left Panama, and we have just arrived in Wolf Island, which is in the northern part of the Galapagos, and the sun's just about to set, so we're just going to come in and maybe have a quick little swim and have a look at the island from the boat before we continue on. We have not had much wind the last 2 days, so as you can hear we are going by engine, which is very frustrating as always, but hopefully we will get some very light winds soon to push us along. We passed Wolf Island about an hour ago and we turned the engine off just to watch the sunset, and now it won't start, unfortunately. We suspect it could be the engine battery that's gone flat. We do have 2 thruster batteries in the forward cabin that the boys are just getting out at the moment. Yeah, we don't have any jumper leads on board, which we should have, to be honest, but we don't, so we're just trying to make do with what we got. But yeah, we're going to connect these batteries up and see how we go. We have about 3 knots of current against us at the moment, so as you can see on the chart, we are drifting backwards at the moment, but we are clear of the island, so we're not in an immediate danger. Still not starting.
Nah.
Well, we've got some calm weather this morning after last night. We're gonna just jump under and I'm gonna have a look at the prop just to make sure that there was nothing, you know, no fishing net or something wrapped around. We could definitely hear something, but yeah, just to make sure that the cutlass and the prop and everything's in place and we haven't lost a blade or something like that. But it's 2.5 kilometers deep, so it's always scary jumping off the boat when it's like that.
Shocky.
Hopefully not.
Oh. Chili?
Yeah, very cold.
There's a lot of rope dragging marks on the rudder.
Is there?
But the propeller's fine, it's just kind of doing its normal thing. The blades are all good, but there's a lot of rope kind of like dragging marks on the rudder.
So it could have been someone there.
So it hit something.
Yeah.
It's probably just wrapped around the blades, but it hasn't damaged the cutter, the cutlass, or the shaft, or the shaft tube, so that's good.
I saw this in a book, and now I'm actually here.
Captain Cook landed on the island during one of his voyages around the world. And this was by a guy called William Masters out of Britain. He eventually had 3 wives, 23 children and 34 grandchildren.
Helicopter.
It's very weird. Like hundreds and hundreds of miles out to sea. And a freaking little, not even a big one, but a small helicopter comes zooming over the top of us. It's weird.
Where would that be off?
Maybe off like a large fishing vessel, like a tuna fishing vessel. Maybe it's a spotter plane, like a spotter helicopter, so they can find all the bait and tuna. Maybe.
We are about 5 miles from crossing the equator, so we're going to celebrate. We got these little party shirts before we left Panama, so we're all getting dressed up for the occasion. Wow, so festive.
Yeah, do you like my shirt?
Yeah, oh wow.
Hey.
Looks great. Gotta get your hat on, Sam.
Gotta dress up for happy hour.
It's the best part about the shirts, that they all came with little matching hats.
Yeah, it'll fit my pinhead very well.
Wow. Your head's too big.
No, it's the hat.
So we're about 5 miles from the equator.
4.8 from the equator. We've got about what, half an hour to go.
Half an hour to go.
Hopefully we've got enough light and we've dressed for the occasion.
Oh, we're so dressed. We got these little party shirts in Panama before we left, with the matching little hats. Quite the bargain.
Some fit, some don't.
Yeah. A few minor adjustments.
So we've got a few beers and some rum, tea punch for us, and some for
Neptune. We have to
Mr. Neptune.
We have to make some sacrifices.
Cheers. Cheers.
Cheers.
Day 10 12,000 miles down and
12 plus.
1,200. Jeez. Fucking what do they put in this? 1,200 down, and it's about 2,800 to we get to Marquesas. Yeah. Woohoo.
We're doing almost 8 through the water. Dangerous, eh?
Little bellboy. Mixed a little rum, lime and sugar. Tea punch for the occasion.
This is for Neptune.
3, 2, 1, so!
4.6.
Happy Hanukkah! How many Australians does it take to turn on the lights?
More than 2.
So we give the first one to the boat?
Yep.
Yeah. I'll pour it on the back, eh? For the boat. Some for the Bane.
Some for Neptune.
And the rest for Neptune. Cheers, mate. For flat seas and good weather. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers!
Yummy.
I can't take rum seriously.
Yummy.
It is early morning on the 11th day at sea now. We've covered about 1,300 miles from Panama and we're just sneaking down the western side of Galapagos. We've got about 13 knots of wind just on the beam and we've snuck across the equator with like a pretty good wind angle and pretty good speed. We're kind of making our way down to a waypoint in the trades at about 3 degrees south. So we're making decent time, not epic speed, but not too bad. So yeah, hopefully we keep the wind all the way down until we reach the trades. How was your watch?
Uneventful.
You've been sleeping?
Having little naps there.
Not really much traffic around, is there?
No, there's no traffic. The wind's just sitting on the beam, so we just got the main up on the first reef, and we got the jib out for the night. So we're just making pretty good speeds, I guess, considering. But we'll probably swap to the Genoa now when the sun's up and more people are.
The jib makes the boat a bit calmer in the evening so everyone can sleep.
Now every morning my watch is from 4 till 8, but Sam usually gets up around 6 and comes up with coffee. The most important job Sam's got on this person.
Is it any good? It's the Kerry Williams special. Grinded beans straight in the cup.
But they're freshly grinded this morning.
Yummy.
We're not.
He's not doing tricks in front, underneath. Oh. That one just charged him. Can you hear him? Yeah.
I get stage fright. Now we're on day 14. We are starting to get some better winds now. We're about 4 degrees south, so we're in a more favorable current. It's getting a bit, drops off a bit at night still. Some clouds moves in, but then during the day we've been getting about 13, 14 knots. So hopefully this is the start of the trades, and hope they will fill in a bit more. I'm going to go a little bit further south before we start aiming more in a westerly direction. We've still been sailing through the night. It's just been a lot of the flapping in the sails, so you've had to adjust them and look after them like a little toddler, which is frustrating, but the days are pretty cruisy. We've just been, yeah, relaxing. And today we ticked over 10,000 miles on the plotter. 10,000 since leaving Norway. It's probably a bit more because we started the trip as we left Norway. So there's probably a bit more with the trips in Norway, but yeah. We got 2,300 miles to go to Nukuhiva in the Marquesas. Hopefully we'll make it in 2 weeks.
5 days.
That would be a very uncomfortable ride.
So we've made it into the trade winds, finally. It took a while to get here. We had lots and lots of unsettled weather in between 2 and 4 degrees south.
Lots of squalls and really bumpy seas.
And the wind was dying off pretty much every evening between midnight and about 4 AM we were losing the wind completely. We end up just flogging the sails and shaking the rig. But yeah, now we're on day 16.
We're halfway, 2,000 miles to go.
Yeah, so we've pretty much covered 2,000 miles from Panama. So yeah, now it looks a lot easier. The straight line course all the way to Nuku'hiva with no jibes, hopefully. Just one long run of light southeast trades. So we're doing about 6 to 7 knots, mostly sitting around 6.5 over the ground, which is really good. We have just the Genoa out on a reach, and we just been running the third reef actually on the main, just because the winds get a little bit stronger in the night and we don't really have to do too much work. And with the current that we've got, how much current we got?
About a knot and a half, I think, at the moment.
Yeah, it varies throughout the day, but the current's really strong and following, of course. So we're usually getting an extra knot and a half of speed, so around 7 knots. It's pretty good.
And since entering the trades yesterday, we've just got a new record on this trip. We did 151 miles distance made good in a 24-hour period. So that's a good start. Now it's just the countdown.
Hopefully about 13 days until we get to Nuku'hiva, or 14 depending on how strong the wind is. And we should still make it under 30 days, which is what we planned.